The sound wasn't a scream, not really. It was the choked, guttural gasp of a soul being systematically dismantled. Sarah Evans stood frozen in her soon-to-be ex-fiancé's apartment, her world tilting violently on its axis. On his laptop screen, displayed with cruel clarity, were intimate photos of her. Photos she'd never posed for, photoshopped with chilling skill into compromising positions with a faceless stranger. Beside them, damning emails she'd never written, detailing plans to leave him, mocking his love, betraying his trust. "Explain this, Sarah?" Mark's voice was raw with betrayal. His eyes, once filled with adoration, now chips of ice. She tried to speak, to deny, but her tongue felt like lead. I didn't, this isn't. Her phone buzzed incessantly. A call from her boss, then a text. "Sarah, HR needs you immediately. Serious allegations of data breach and harassment. Do not come to the office." The ground vanished beneath her feet. Two pillars of her life, love and career, obliterated in the space of minutes. And standing in the shadowy corner of the hallway, just visible in the dim light, was her mother, Diana. Not shocked, not horrified. Her expression was a terrifying mix of feigned concern and satisfaction, a predator watching its trap spring shut. "Oh, my poor darling," Diana breathed, rushing forward to envelop a paralyzed Sarah in a suffocating embrace that smelled of expensive perfume and deceit. "What has happened? Mark, what have you done to her?" But Sarah knew, with a chilling certainty that cut deeper than Mark's accusations or her boss's text. She knew. The photos, the emails, the allegations, they bore the invisible, venomous fingerprints of Diana Evans. Her mother had finally delivered the killing blow to Sarah's happiness, just as she'd subtly poisoned every achievement, every relationship since childhood. The carefully constructed life Sarah had built, brick by painful brick, away from Diana's influence, lay in ruins. The gasping sound came again, tearing from Sarah's throat, as the walls of the apartment, the world, seemed to press in, crushing her. The darkness wasn't just in the room. It flooded her vision, her mind. The last thing she saw before oblivion claimed her was Diana's face, hovering over her, the mask of concern slipping for a split second to reveal the cold, triumphant gleam beneath. Institutionalized by her own mother. The words echoed in the sterile void Sarah inhabited for weeks. Not prison bars, but the soft restraints of a psychiatric facility. The condescending hum of fluorescent lights, the patronizing tones of doctors Diana had carefully selected. Acute stress psychosis, they diagnosed. Paranoid delusions. Diana fed the narrative, weeping gracefully in family sessions about her fragile daughter, her history of instability, her tendency to fabricate. She presented Sarah's desperate denials about the photos, the emails, the sabotage, as further proof of her breakdown. Sarah's spirit, already fractured, threatened to shatter completely. She learned silence. She learned to nod, to accept the pills that fogged her mind, to parrot the script Diana provided. She was unwell. She'd imagined the betrayal. She needed her mother's unwavering support. Inside, the ember of rage, fanned by utter helplessness, burned with an intensity that kept her alive. She observed Diana like a scientist observing a deadly virus. She saw the manipulation tactics, the gaslighting. "You always were so forgetful, darling." The triangulation, whispering lies about Sarah to Mark, to her boss. The victim playing. "After all I've sacrificed for you." In the quiet hours, Sarah began to rebuild. Not her old life, that was ash. She rebuilt her mind. She devoured books on psychology, covert narcissism, trauma recovery. She practiced mindfulness beneath the apathetic gaze of orderlies, honing her focus, learning to detach. She noted every nuance of Diana's performance, every flicker of malice disguised as love. She was no longer Sarah Evans, the broken daughter. She was becoming something else, a creature forged in betrayal, dedicated to a single, all-consuming purpose: revenge. Not with fists or poison, but with the very weapons Diana had perfected: understanding, manipulation, the destruction of a carefully constructed image. When Diana, playing the devoted mother, secured Sarah's release 6 months later, Sarah played her part perfectly. She was meek, grateful, recovering. She moved back into Diana's opulent, cold penthouse, a gilded cage. She endured Diana's subtle barbs disguised as concern, her control over Sarah's finances, her social life, or lack thereof. Sarah became the perfect, subdued daughter, a blank canvas reflecting Diana's desired narrative. But beneath the surface, she plotted. She squirreled away tiny amounts of money from the allowance Diana gave her. She studied online courses in counseling and life coaching, mastering the language of empowerment and healing. She practiced mirroring, active listening, the subtle art of planting seeds of doubt, skills Diana used to destroy, skills Sarah would use to dismantle. She bided her time, honing her new identity. 5 years passed. Diana Evans remained a fixture in the city's social elite. Widowed young, another tragedy Sarah viewed with new, suspicious eyes, Diana had recently married the much younger, incredibly wealthy tech entrepreneur, Julian Thorne. She curated her image as a glamorous philanthropist, a pillar of strength, a woman who had overcome so much, especially her troubled daughter, who, Diana lamented quietly to her new circle, had sadly drifted away, seeking independence. Sarah Evans had indeed vanished. In her place stood Chloe Dubois, confident, elegant, radiating a calm, magnetic authority. Chloe spoke with a slight, unplaceable European accent, a blend of French sophistication and Swiss precision, perfected through months of practice. She had credentials from prestigious online institutions, meticulously forged, backed by deep knowledge, and a burgeoning reputation as a highly exclusive, intuitively brilliant, transformational life strategist specializing in helping high-achieving women overcome unseen blocks and reclaim their power. Her methods were unique, intense, intuitive, delving into deep-seated family dynamics and the shadows of the past. She was expensive, selective, and rumored to be miraculous. Diana Thorne, facing the terrifying prospect of aging in a marriage to a younger, distractible man and sensing whispers of boredom within her social circle, needed a miracle. Her carefully controlled image felt brittle. Julian was increasingly distant, absorbed in his work and a young, vibrant team. Diana felt her influence waning, the reflection in her oversized mirrors starting to show cracks her expensive creams couldn't hide. She heard whispers about Chloe Dubois at a charity gala. "Darling, she's extraordinary," gushed a society queen whose husband had stopped straying. "She sees right into your soul. Fixed my relationship with my impossible daughter in 3 sessions." Intrigued and desperate to maintain her grip on Julian and her status, Diana used her considerable influence to secure an introduction. Chloe received Diana's inquiry with icy professionalism. She researched her new potential client thoroughly. She told Diana, over a discreet video call, a necessity to ensure alignment. Chloe's screen showed an impeccably dressed woman in a minimalist, serene office. Diana, on the other end in her gaudy living room, felt a flicker of unease at Chloe's penetrating, calm gaze. "Your reputation precedes you, Mrs. Thorne," Chloe said, her voice smooth as velvet. "My work is deep. It requires absolute honesty and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, often rooted in childhood or complex maternal relationships." She paused, letting the word maternal hang in the air. "I only work with clients truly ready for transformation. Are you prepared to look into the mirror, Diana? Truly look? The challenge, the hint of exclusivity, the focus on maternal wounds, it was bait Diana couldn't resist. Her ego demanded she prove she was the fearless one. "I'm ready for anything, Miss Dubois," Diana declared, masking her apprehension with bravado. "Anything that helps me maintain my radiance and influence." Chloe smiled, a slow, enigmatic curve of the lips. "Radiance is an inside job, Diana. Influence comes from authenticity. Let's begin." The sessions commenced in Chloe's tranquil, neutral-toned office. Diana, used to dominating conversations, found herself subtly guided. Chloe was a master listener, reflecting Diana's own words back to her with slight, thought-provoking twists. "It must be exhausting," Chloe murmured sympathetically during Diana's monologue about Julian's neglect, "maintaining such perfection for him, like performing on a stage where the audience is slowly losing interest." Diana bristled. "Julian adores me." "Does he?" Chloe asked softly, tilting her head. "Or does he adore the idea of you? The dazzling hostess, the perfect trophy. What happens when the dazzle fades?" She planted the seed of insecurity with surgical precision. Chloe delved into Diana's past. "Tell me about your own mother, Diana." Diana painted a picture of a saintly, self-sacrificing woman. Chloe listened, then gently probed. "Such devotion. Did you ever feel suffocated by her expectations? Or perhaps unseen for who you truly were, like you had to earn her love?" Diana shifted uncomfortably. The narrative was familiar, but reversed. "No, of course not. She was perfect." "Perfection is a heavy burden," Chloe observed. "Did you ever feel resentment, perhaps towards someone closer, someone who might have seemed to get love more freely?" Sarah's face flashed in Diana's mind. A flicker of unease crossed her features. Chloe noted it. "We often repeat patterns we learned in childhood. The need for control, the fear of abandonment. It often stems from a deep-seated feeling of never being quite enough." Session by session, Chloe chipped away. She framed Diana's narcissistic traits as understandable coping mechanisms born from deep insecurity. She normalized the toxic behaviors, then gently exposed their corrosive effects. "That fundraiser incident you mentioned," Chloe said one day, referring to Diana's account of humiliating a social rival, "you felt powerful in that moment, yes? But afterward, did you sense the room grow colder? True power, lasting influence, comes from connection, not fear. Fear creates distance, isolation." Diana started seeing her world through Chloe's lens. She became hyper-aware of Julian's polite indifference, interpreting it as imminent abandonment. She saw subtle slights everywhere: a friend's delayed reply, a less prominent seat at a luncheon. Chloe fed this paranoia with seemingly innocent observations. "Julian seems very engaged with his new CFO, doesn't she? So dynamic. Reminds me of you years ago." Diana's eyes narrowed. Chloe, meanwhile, meticulously gathered ammunition. Diana, loosened by Chloe's skillful empathy and subtle flattery, "Your insights are remarkable, Diana," revealed more than she intended. She boasted about manipulating past friends, hinted at influencing her late husband's will, and spoke with veiled contempt about Sarah, portraying her as weak and ungrateful. Chloe recorded key admissions, with Diana's signed consent for session review, a clause buried in the contract. Her voice calm, her heart a frozen stone. She cultivated Julian, a chance, accidental meeting at an art gallery Chloe knew Julian frequented. She spoke intelligently about a piece he admired, displaying a knowledge of tech art interfaces that intrigued him. She was everything Diana wasn't currently: calm, intellectually stimulating, undemanding. Julian, starved for genuine connection beyond Diana's performative affection, was captivated. He sought Chloe out at other events. Their conversations grew longer, deeper. Chloe maintained impeccable boundaries, a picture of professional discretion, while subtly highlighting Diana's volatility and self-absorption. Diana carries such a heavy mantle of expectation, Chloe sighed sympathetically during one conversation. It can make her fragile, needy. It must be difficult for you, craving genuine partnership. Julian, emboldened by expensive whiskey and Chloe's understanding gaze, confessed his frustrations. Sometimes I feel like an accessory, not a husband. Chloe placed a hand, briefly, reassuringly, on his arm. Everyone deserves to be seen, Julian, truly seen. Diana sensed the shift. Julian was distracted, working late more often, and less responsive to her demands. Her paranoia, expertly cultivated by Chloe, exploded. She accused him of infidelity, first subtly, then in screaming, tearful rages witnessed by their housekeeper. Chloe calmly documented these outbursts during their sessions, framing them as understandable expressions of deep-seated abandonment trauma. She encouraged Diana to confront Julian, to demand the attention she deserved, knowing it would push him further away. The social downfall was orchestrated with equal precision. Chloe, invited to a small, exclusive luncheon Diana was hosting, subtly steered the conversation towards parenting. Diana, as usual, lamented her difficult daughter. Chloe listened, then shared a carefully crafted anonymous anecdote about a client whose mother's constant criticism masked profound jealousy and a need to control. "It's tragic," Chloe murmured, "when a mother sees her daughter's light not as a reflection of her own, but as a threat to be extinguished." The words hung in the air. Later, Chloe privately confided in a notorious gossip within the group, expressing concern about Diana's increasingly erratic behavior and bitterness towards her absent daughter. The whispers started. Diana felt the chill. Friends became politely distant. Invitations dwindled. She raged at Julian, who withdrew further, seeking solace in work and, increasingly, in discreet lunches with his understanding friend, Chloe. Diana became isolated, a prisoner in her gilded penthouse, haunted by Chloe's insights and the growing silence around her. Her carefully constructed image was crumbling. She looked haggard, desperate. The final session arrived. Diana was a wreck, her makeup smudged, her composure shattered by Julian moving into a hotel for space. Chloe sat across from her, the picture of serene composure. "Diana," Chloe began, her voice gentle but carrying an undeniable weight, "we've journeyed deep into the roots of your pain, the need for control, the fear of being unseen, the deep-seated belief that love must be earned through perfection. It all stems from a profound wound, often inflicted by the very person who should have offered unconditional love." Diana stared, a dawning horror creeping into her eyes. Chloe's calmness felt suddenly menacing. "You understand this pattern now, don't you? Because you repeated it, with Sarah." Diana flinched as if struck. "Sarah? What does that ungrateful girl have to do with this?" Chloe leaned forward slightly, her gaze locking onto Diana's.
"Everything, Diana. Everything. You saw her light, her capacity for genuine love and happiness, as a threat, not a reflection, but a condemnation of your own emptiness. So you set out to extinguish it, just like your own light was extinguished. Diana's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Recognition, raw and terrifying, was flooding her features. The accent, the phrasing, the eyes. Who are you?" Diana whispered, her voice trembling. Chloe smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of a ghost stepping into the light. She slowly reached up, removing the elegant, subtly tinted glasses she always wore. She held Diana's petrified gaze. "Don't you recognize the threat, Mother?" Sarah Evans asked, her voice dropping the Chloe Dubois cadence, revealing the cold, familiar steel beneath. "The daughter you tried so hard to break?" Diana recoiled, scrambling back in her chair as if burned. "No, impossible. Sarah she's weak. She's broken." Sarah stood, radiating a terrifying calm authority Diana had never possessed. "You broke Sarah Evans' mother. You shattered her completely." She took a step closer. "But you didn't count on the pieces learning how to cut back. Chloe Dubois was the mirror, Diana, held up so you could finally see the monster you truly are. And look," Sarah gestured towards Diana's reflection in the office's large window, a woman undone, mascara streaking her cheeks, eyes wide with primal fear. "Look how beautifully you shattered." Diana's breath hitched in ragged sobs. "Julian, my friends—" "Gone," Sarah stated coldly. "They see you now, just as I always did. They see the manipulation, the cruelty, the emptiness beneath the glitter." She picked up her sleek designer bag, the final prop of Chloe Dubois. "The work is done. The transformation is complete. You are finally, authentically alone, just as you made me." Sarah walked towards the door, pausing only to glance back at the trembling wreck that was her mother. "Enjoy the silence, Diana. It's the only company you deserve." She opened the door and stepped out, leaving Diana Evans-Thorne utterly alone in the pristine office, surrounded by the echoing ruins of her own meticulously constructed life. The reflection in the window showed not a powerful socialite, but a terrified, hollow woman staring into the abyss of her own making. The daughter she had tried to erase had returned, not with a whimper, but with the devastating force of truth, holding up a mirror that reflected nothing but ruin. And in that suffocating silence, broken only by Diana's ragged breaths, a chilling question echoed. Was this the end of Diana's torment, or merely the beginning of a desolation she could never escape?
Thank you for delving into this intense tale of psychological warfare and a daughter's chilling retribution. The echoes of shattered glass linger. What becomes of Diana in her isolation? Can Sarah ever truly escape the shadow of her past? Subscribe now for tomorrow's gripping continuation, and explore our library of dark family sagas, where the deepest wounds are inflicted by those closest to us. Hit the notification bell to journey with us into the heart of revenge. Until next time.